He stares at himself in the mirror and says, "You're so lazy. You have no willpower. You're weak." He's about to start another workout routine, another diet, another attempt at discipline. But this time he's going to be tougher on himself. He's going to use shame as motivation, guilt as fuel, and punishment as the path to change. He thinks discipline means being harder on himself, more critical, more punishing. But what if I told you he has it completely backwards? What if discipline isn't about being harder on yourself, but about respecting yourself more? I'm Arjun, and I've got your raw daily fuel for today. Today, we're going to explore the fundamental difference between discipline rooted in punishment and discipline rooted in self-respect. We're going to discover why keeping promises to yourself is the foundation of unshakable confidence, how small acts of discipline build self-respect, and why the way you treat yourself teaches others exactly how to treat you. Because here's what I've learned from both ancient wisdom and modern psychology. Discipline that comes from shame and punishment never lasts, but discipline that comes from honor and self-respect becomes a way of life. Let's start with the crucial distinction that will change everything. Discipline is not punishment, it's proof that you respect yourself. When you approach discipline as punishment, you're operating from shame. I need to work out because I'm lazy. I need to eat better because I'm weak. I need to be more disciplined because I'm a failure. This mindset treats discipline as something you inflict upon yourself because you're not good enough. But punishment-based discipline creates a toxic cycle. You hate yourself into action, which makes you associate healthy choices with negative feelings. Eventually, your mind rebels against this negative approach and you quit, often with even more shame than when you started. Self-respect based discipline is completely different. It says, I choose to work out because I respect my body. I choose to eat well because I honor my health. I choose discipline because I believe I'm worth the effort. This approach treats discipline as something you give yourself because you're worthy of care. When discipline comes from self-respect, it feels different. Instead of forcing yourself through gritted teeth, you're choosing actions that align with how you want to be treated. Instead of punishing yourself for past mistakes, you're honoring yourself with better choices. The energy is completely different. Punishment drains you, respect energizes you. Which foundation do you want to build your life on? Here's the truth that will transform your relationship with discipline. Self-respect grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. Think of your self-respect like a bank account. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, no matter how small, you make a deposit. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you make a withdrawal. When you tell yourself you'll drink more water today and you do it, that's a deposit. When you say you'll walk for 10 minutes and you follow through, that's a deposit. When you promise yourself you'll go to bed at a reasonable time and you honor that promise, that's a deposit. But when you say you'll eat healthy and then order pizza, that's a withdrawal. When you commit to exercising and then skip it without a good reason, that's a withdrawal. When you promise yourself better habits but don't follow through, that's a withdrawal. The beautiful thing is that deposits compound. Each kept promise makes it easier to keep the next one because you start to see yourself as someone who follows through. You build evidence that you're reliable, trustworthy, and capable of discipline. The dangerous thing is that withdrawals compound too. Each broken promise makes it harder to trust yourself the next time because you start to see yourself as someone who doesn't follow through. You build evidence that you're unreliable and lack discipline. But here's the empowering truth. You can start making deposits right now, regardless of your past withdrawal history. Your self-respect account can be rebuilt one kept promise at a time. This brings us to how small acts of discipline build unshakable confidence. Most people think confidence comes from big achievements, losing 50 pounds, running a marathon, completely transforming their life. But real confidence comes from the accumulation of small victories, the daily proof that you do what you say you'll do. When you keep small promises to yourself consistently, you develop what I call integrity confidence. This isn't confidence based on external achievements or other people's opinions. This is confidence based on the unshakable knowledge that you can trust yourself. Every morning when you do what you said you'd do, even something as simple as making your bed, you start the day with proof that you're someone who keeps their word. This creates a foundation of self-trust that nothing can shake. The person who consistently keeps small promises to themselves develops a quiet, powerful confidence. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because they have constant proof of their own reliability. They know that when they commit to something, they'll follow through. This is why small acts of discipline are more powerful than grand gestures. The grand gesture is impressive but temporary. The small, consistent act builds the identity of a disciplined person. Each time you choose discipline over impulse, you're not just making a healthy choice, you're reinforcing the identity. I am someone who does what they say they'll do. This identity becomes so strong that breaking promises to yourself starts to feel foreign and uncomfortable. Now, here's something profound that most people don't realize. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you consistently break promises to yourself, you're teaching others that your word isn't reliable. If you don't respect your own boundaries, you're teaching others that your boundaries don't need to be respected. If you treat yourself with disrespect, you're giving others permission to do the same. But when you honor your commitments to yourself, others notice. When you respect your own boundaries, others learn to respect them too. When you treat yourself with dignity and integrity, others mirror that treatment. This isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. This is about the overall pattern of how you treat yourself. People are always watching, not to judge, but to understand what standard of treatment you expect. Your children watch how you talk to yourself and learn how they should talk to themselves. Your partner observes how you honor your commitments and adjusts their expectations accordingly. Your colleagues see how you respect your own time and boundaries and respond similarly. In Indian culture, we have a saying, as you think of yourself, so others will think of you. This isn't about arrogance or superiority. It's about the dignity that comes from self-respect. When you carry yourself with the quiet confidence that comes from keeping your word to yourself, others respond with respect. The mirror principle works in both directions. Disrespect yourself and others feel permission to disrespect you. Honor yourself and others feel compelled to honor you too. I want to touch briefly on something I've spoken about before. Discipline creates freedom, it doesn't restrict it. When you have the discipline to keep promises to yourself, you gain the freedom to trust your own commitments. You gain the freedom from the chaos of impulsive decisions. You gain the freedom that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. This freedom is different from the freedom people think they want, the freedom to do whatever they feel like in the moment. Real freedom is the freedom to choose based on your values rather than your impulses, to act based on who you want to become rather than how you feel right now. In our culture, integrity is sacred. Your word is your bond. This principle, which we apply so carefully in our relationships with others, applies equally to our relationship with ourselves. If your word to yourself is worthless, how can your word to others have value? When you make a promise to yourself, you're creating a sacred contract. Honor that contract and you honor yourself. Break that contract repeatedly and you break something fundamental in your relationship with yourself. Here's your challenge, and it's simpler than you might think. Choose one promise to make to yourself for the next 7 days and keep it religiously. Not a huge promise, not a life-changing commitment. One simple promise that you can absolutely keep. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. Maybe it's doing 5 push-ups before your shower. Maybe it's saying one thing you're grateful for each day. The specific promise doesn't matter. What matters is that you choose something achievable and then honor it completely for 7 days. No exceptions, no excuses, no, I'll start fresh tomorrow. For 7 days, prove to yourself that you are someone who keeps their word. Notice how it feels to go to bed each night knowing you honored your commitment. Notice how your confidence grows. Notice how your relationship with yourself begins to shift. After 7 days, make the same promise for another 7 days, then another. Watch as this small act of self-respect begins to transform not just your habits, but your entire sense of self-worth. The goal isn't perfection, it's proof. Proof that you respect yourself enough to keep your word. Proof that you're worthy of your own trust. Proof that discipline doesn't have to come from punishment, it can come from love. Remember this fundamental truth: discipline rooted in self-respect lasts because it's sustainable. Discipline rooted in punishment fails because it's toxic. One builds you up while the other tears you down. One creates a positive spiral of growth while the other creates a negative spiral of shame. Your discipline should make you feel more confident, not more burdened. It should make you feel more capable, not more criticized. It should make you feel more respected, not more punished. When you approach discipline as an act of self-respect, everything changes. The voice in your head becomes encouraging rather than critical. The process becomes empowering rather than exhausting. The results become lasting rather than temporary. You are worthy of your own respect. You are worthy of keeping promises to yourself. You are worthy of the confidence that comes from integrity. Start proving it to yourself, one small promise at a time. I'm Arjun, and that's your raw daily fuel for today. If this shifted how you see discipline, hit that subscribe button. We're here every day with more powerful motivation that helps you build unshakable self respect. Your word to yourself is sacred. Honor it.